Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to Dads from the Crypt. This is episode 129, almost to the big 130. My name is Jason, and tonight I'm joined by Jody.
Hello.
And Mondo.
Once we hit 130, that'll be just twice Jason's age. That's be pretty impressive.
Actually, you just keep aging me up, so now I'm on Medicare.
Every year. Hey, you're finally sucking back off that sweet government teat.
Yes. I'm
Paid
getting,
in
those
for so long.
I'm getting those AARP benefits.
Hey, here's that advice to anyone who wants it. You can join AARP anytime you want and get those benefits.
Yes, but they do limit you on some. I tried this for because
I
they have really good car insurance. But if you're not of a certain age, you can't get their car insurance.
Yeah.
Just
actually, I've been to an AARP concert before. They were having a convention in Los Angeles, and they're having a concert with Tony Bennett for his birthday. Okay. My wife's a huge Tony Bennett fan, and her mother was in town. So through her AARP account, we went to the concerts, and Stevie Wonder came out with Carrie Underwood to sing Happy Birthday. And it was pretty amazing. And actually, we're just watching the Grammys, and they did Stevie Wonder did a tribute to Tony Bennett that I really liked.
That's cool.
That's pretty incredible. That's some good artists that pop up.
I have two really good Stevie Wonder stories. They used to come into my Apple store all the time. One, I have to tell you guys off air. It is not it's not anything bad, but it's actually about something Stevie does, and it's actually kind of endearing. But the other piece was, I used to always love, and this happened, like, he'd always get the tourists would always come in and say hi to him. We were a very international store. And I still remember it was a group of three Chinese women, probably middle age, probably around our age. And they all went and said hi to him, and he's there with his assistant, and he's super nice to him, took pictures with him, whatever. And just, like he was a super nice guy. I do have to state that, he was a super nice guy. And then when they left, they yelled "Stevie," and you can't see I'm doing, listeners, but Stevie, and they were just waving their arm frantically to get his attention.
Nope.
And he was like, "No, that's not gonna work." But again, class act guy, super nice guy.
Nice. Yes. Okay. So this weekend, I went to CreepyCon in Ontario, California. Al Katz had a table there, so I sat with him for an entire day. And we had a blast. So any new listeners that I might have met there, welcome. Thank you for listening. And I gave out something like 80 stickers.
Nice.
Nice.
And some teenager put our sticker on his phone case and showed me. And I was like, this might be the coolest I've ever been, on a random teenager's phone case.
I should tell you, my child's 21, but it's still in that much cooler than we are era. And they do have a Dads from the Crypt sticker on their car.
Nice. Love it.
Just saying.
So yeah,
and
it's great.
That demographic that we've been trying for.
Yeah, apparently when I talked to some of their coworkers about where they're at their previous job, some of them actually started listening to our podcast and said it was hilarious. So we are in with the kids.
Yes.
I'm editing that out.
The young
want that
people.
string of words coming out of my mouth on record.
You say we're giving enjoyments. We're giving.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
No,
We're giving content.
we're just gonna
Giving something to listen to.
just gonna move on forward here.
We're giving podcast. But it was very cool because people like me were coming up to Al and like, thank you so much. You started my love of horror. You're a part of this thing. And just saying, like, I'm used to walking around the convention for hours and hours, but sitting in one place and just watching people coming by and seeing their reaction was very endearing.
That's cool.
That was very cool. But also on the flip side, I have a new sympathy for the people that sit at those tables and have to have kind of the same conversation over and over and over again, kind of the same pitch. That's a bad thing, but it's a whole other dynamic that I haven't like really done before. So yeah, it was a really great experience. I'm really happy we did it.
And if it was anything like just being a spectator and seeing what they did at Chattanooga Film Festival, Al and Gil are nothing but generous with their time. And if you want to stand there and talk with them, they'll talk. They want to talk. They're proud of the work they've done, and they love the fact that so many years later, it's still relevant.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would talk to people for like 5-10 minutes. Other people were trying to come by, so I was talking to them. I was like the consolation. I was like the warm up act. Someone did ask if I was Gil. Yeah.
For our listeners that don't know, Gil Adler is like what, 5'7" maybe.
He's like in the 70s.
Yeah, he's a small guy. He's a small man though, as opposed to Jason, who is also in his 70s, but well over 6 feet tall.
6'11". If you're gonna start exaggerating my age, I'll exaggerate my height too.
My goal is by episode 200, we have an argument with Patreons about what Jason's real age is.
Right. Jason is 97 and 8 feet tall. It's incredible.
Yes. And I still weigh 190. So there you go. All right. Tonight, we are taking a break from Black Mirror. We love Black Mirror, but it kind of weighs on you after a little bit. So we want to do something, change it up, do something a little bit fun. We said we were going to do some movies in between seasons. So we are going into a movie called Scare Package from 2019. This was kind of a Mondo Jody pick. I hadn't seen it before. And did you see it at Chattanooga? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was during the pandemic year, the first year that they did the virtual side of CFF. And so that was my favorite movie of the Chattanooga Film Fest that year. And I've watched it multiple times since then. So I'm happy to be talking about it tonight.
Same here. I think we were actually messaging back and forth when we watched this at CFF, and we both loved it. And it was, I think it was also the last movie that came out. That was the last movie of the festival, and it was a great perfect way to end the fest. And one thing just to bring up, I know we'll get into our enjoyment, our various levels of enjoyment of this, but I think that this coming out during the pandemic when things were looking very bleak was like what I needed at the time. Because I definitely wasn't watching Black Mirror during the pandemic. I'll put it that way. I was it was a while before it was probably a good year and a half before I started watching a little bit more depressing stuff.
There was a good 6 months during the pandemic that I watched nothing but Bob's Burgers. Like that is literally the only thing I watched.
I think we rewatched Parks and Rec and not Reno 911, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think I rewatched all of The Office again.
I remember we were starting the last season of the Good Place. And we were just like, we don't have it in us for this like deep existential philosophical show, and we still haven't finished it. Actually, I need to.
You should.
It's a great ending, but
that's right.
During the middle of all that, that might not have been the best pick at the moment.
Yeah, that's very true.
All right, Jody, you're going to be you're the man of the night to explain this movie.
Okay, yeah, there's all kinds of things happening. So, you want to go segment by segment?
Yeah, let's go segment by segment.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just start with the beginning. We get a little cold open where a guy comes out and he is. Let's see. This is a hard movie to describe. I will say that.
Yes.
Because it just kind of jumps into things.
I was very lost for a while watching this.
What's that?
I was very lost for a little while.
Okay. So there are segments in this, but it's not like always clear when segments begin. Like they kind of blend in and out of the story that's happening. And so we start with a guy who his job is like setting up the circumstances for horror movies. Like his whole thing is like he puts the haunted doll in the attic, or he, tricks the couple into buying a haunted house, plays with satanic relics, this kind of thing. And the first segment of this is: do we start with? Do we get a glimpse of Rad Chad first, or do we just go with this whole segment of the guy?
It's a whole segment because the very end of the segment is Rad Chad picking him up. Picking him up as a hitchhiker.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now my mind is back in place. I'm back where I can think again, and I'm good. I had thought about making some coffee that had THC in it tonight. I'm glad I didn't, because if I'm already struggling this much on the first segment, this would be a disaster.
What you're saying is you're high as fuck. You just cut yourself off at a certain point.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I'm stone sober right now.
You've been drinking a beer.
That's only something I
just started it. Half a glass. Come on. Half a glass. Okay, so he is doing his job, and he's talking with his friend who's a cop, about his job and how, it's he never gets to be the guy. And so he's doing his thing. There's two women babysitting on Halloween. And instead of leaving like he's supposed to, he cuts the power, then he kind of hangs around. And the women realize he's the one who cut the power, and they invite him in because they are trying to stop whatever he's got going. And she attacks him with one of the women attacks him with some wire cutters, and then slips and fall on some candy, impales herself in the neck, and there's blood everywhere. And then as he's trying to remove the cutters from her neck, he accidentally stabs her and kills her. And he puts on this white mask because he's been sprayed in the face with blood, and he's trying to keep from that happening. He picks up the knife, and then his friend shows up and shoots him.
In the shoulder.
In the shoulder. Yes.
There's the
whole thing about getting shot in the shoulder.
She mentions, I can put a gun next to someone's head and pull the trigger. Bam, shoulder.
Right. Okay, so that's our first full segment. It takes that opening, that cold open, and then we get into the actual story of what's happening.
Okay. Here's my question. So he keeps talking about them as in the employers that he's working for, but they never explain.
Well, I kind of figured whatever group was doing everything at the very end, that was who we worked for.
That makes sense.
That's all I figured, at least.
I just think there's some shadowy them that causes horror movies to happen.
Oh, like Cabin in the Woods.
Well,
yeah, it's Cabin in the Woods stuff. I
get this. I'm every part of this movie I keep comparing to Cabin in the Woods.
And I think this is a very meta movie, all the way across the board. There's a lot of meta type commentary about horror movies in general.
Yeah. All right, keep going.
Okay. Well, do we want to talk about that segment, or do
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. I thought we were. So go ahead.
Yeah, Jason, give us your thoughts on that segment.
I struggled with it because it was just dropping you right in the middle of it, which I understand is the point of a cold segment. But I'm like, is this the wraparound? Is this what? They kind of jumped from a couple different conversations, and I was I could not get my feet on the ground for this. There are parts I thought were funny. Like I said, the shooting in the shoulder bit I thought was funny. That was pretty good. And then he just happens to put on a mask to cover so he won't get sprayed in the blood, and he looks like Michael Myers. That was good. But then some of the stuff was a little, I don't say lazy, but a little too on the nose. They're like, well, your name is Michael, right? Mm-hmm. So I see what they're doing by trying to be meta and calling out tropes, but there's a little bit, and this is kind of a thing throughout the whole movies, that I feel like they're just calling out the tropes rather than showing. It's more tell than show.
Dude, Jody just straight gave you the dad look that he gave his kid when they fuck up.
Now, again, putting down the full banner disclaimer. Movies, can be very much depending on the mood you're in or the environment in which you take it in. And I'm not going to poo-poo anyone for enjoying this, but I'm giving my critical assessment. I'm not saying anyone is wrong in how much they enjoyed this movie.
I'll say Jason is wrong.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
No, this first segment's fun. It's the guy who sets up the horror movies. All those times that you're like, how did that get there? You're watching a Friday the 13th movie, and at some point, Jason had to go and take all these people and hang them upside down in a tree so that they drop at a certain moment, and pin this guy up here and do this for the great reveal. This is this guy's job. His job is to set up horror movies, and I thought it was fun because it is very silly. Silly is going to be a word I use a lot in this because there's a lot of silliness in that.
And I'm fine with silly. I just need it to be consistently, not consistently silly, but to have some internal logic. That the logic might be silly, but I was trying to figure out I was trying to get my feet on what is this world.
I think one thing to consider with this movie is you've got the wraparound, and we'll talk about that next, that goes through the whole thing. All the segments are completely disconnected from anything else that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes, and the reason I was having whiplash from segment to segment.
Yeah, I wanted Jason to go first so we could get his just garbage take out of the way. Because you always want to finish strong. Everybody knows that. It's dad advice. Always finish strong. Yeah, this segment, I think it's the cool part about this is it sets the tone for the whole anthology right away. And like you said, everything does jump around, and Jason mentioned getting whiplash. Cool. Uh, the segments do jump around a lot, but they still follow kind of the same tone, and you get this real fun tone throughout the whole thing. I do love his intro. Like I love when he stabs her and she goes, "Should I take it out?" He goes, "No, I don't think." And she takes it out, and the blood's just spraying all over his all over his face. Because
Yes.
Another piece of dad advice is if you ever get stabbed or if you ever impale yourself or something, leave it in.
Don't
Don't
yeah,
pull it
just
out.
do that.
It's a cork. It's keeping the stuff inside your body that should be inside your body. So just dad advice there. But I enjoyed this a lot.
And I will say about pretty much all the segments, I love the gore. The gore was
I was going to say,
excellent.
one thing this movie does is it uses gore for humor a lot, and that works for me. Like,
Again,
gore for humor is 100% my kind of thing. Like, you show somebody exploding, I'm in.
Yeah, that's showing, not telling as much. So I like that. I thought the gore effects were very, very good throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, we with my kids just recently we've watched the Banana Splits movie, which I kind of liked the first time I saw it, but then when I rewatched it, it's really fun. There's a lot of great gory scenes in it. And then we watched Cooties a couple days ago, and
I like Cooties.
Fantastic. And it's just these are gory movies, but the gore is played for humor, and that. I mean, you're hitting my sweet spot right there. There's a reason why this scare package works for me so well. We'll get to my favorite in a minute. It's the goriest one.
I already know what it is because I think it's mine too.
Yeah, it might be mine.
All right, so let's get into our wraparound. So that's our setup here, and our wraparound takes place at a video store, Rad Chad's Video Emporium or Horror Emporium, and he's looking for a new employee. There's a guy named Hawn who he is interviewing for the position and talking about movies. Chad is the horror movie geek guy who knows everything. You know, that guy in the video store who, understands every movie, has seen everything, and can tell you the plot and synopsis of every movie that ever existed. That's Rad Chad. Okay, he's this horror nerd. And so the segments usually are either him describing a movie or someone else describing a movie, or they're showing it. So these are all like movie scenes, basically. So you got Hawn, who is getting hired, and then what's the other guy's name?
I forgot his name, but he's the one that he keeps trying to get a job there, and they keep telling him
trying
no.
to get a job there.
I think it's Alan or something.
Did you get a glimpse
Sam,
of his resume?
Sam.
Did you guys look at his resume when he handed it over?
No.
The only part I caught was under references. It just said in capital letters, "Mom."
Tracks.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, and so that's happening throughout the whole thing, and we will get to where the wraparound pays off. It has its own story, but not until the end of the movie. So I want to save that because otherwise we end on, I think, one of the weaker segments. So we'll save where the wraparound goes after we talk about everything else.
Yeah. Oh, real quick. So for the opening bit, it was directed by Emily Haggins.
Okay.
She did the segment in VHS, and she did a movie called Sorry About the Demon, which also stars Mike, the main guy from that segment as well.
Yeah, I think that was released by the same production company.
Yeah.
Paper House Pictures, I think, is the name of the company that's making all these.
Yeah. And so the guy Michael is played by John Michael Simpson. And then the writer-directors of the Rad Chads bit, they also did the last segment's Horror Hypothesis. Mm-hmm. They're also kind of like the executive producers, the creators of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Aaron Kuntz and Cameron Burns. They also did The Pale Door and Scare Package 2. Rad Chad is played by Jeremy King. He had a little camp bit in Pirates of the Caribbean and on Stranger Tides. Also in The Pale Door. Hawn, he's got a fun little resume, but he was in Preacher in the Watchmen TV series.
Nice.
And then
just for the record too, I did look up Goldie Hawn in Urban Dictionary. They just made that up for the movie. That is not a real sexual position.
I was wondering about that.
Well, I did the legwork for you.
There you go.
But they do have other things. They do use the word Hawn as a derogatory term for old women. popularized by Simpson's character Comic Book Guy, which means that it's fucking stupid to call someone that because Comic Book Guy, everything Comic Book Guy says is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But I did laugh when someone called her Oldie Hawn, and that made me giggle.
That's good.
Yeah, the other guy's name is Sam, by the way. That the bearded mustached guy who's trying to get a job there.
Yeah, he's in the upcoming Toxic Avenger movie, so.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
He plays a big role in Scare Package 2, which I'm not going to spoil because someday we'll make Jason watch that one too.
I'm down to watch it.
Our friend Sarah, Spooky Sarah says she got a walk-on role in Scare Package 2 because she was such a fan of Scare Package 1 that Cameron put her in it.
That's awesome. So, that's super cool.
You know?
Okay.
All right. Next segment. One Time in the Woods. Directed by Chris McElroy. And I'm going to talk about Chris McElroy in a minute. All right. So there's these folks that are out camping in the woods. One of them steps in this mysterious green goo that he thinks is bug guts. And about that time, a guy runs up and he says, you need to leave. I'm going to kill you. He starts convulsing and like spitting out this green goo. He's all wet and messy and they try to beat him with sticks, and he says, "No, you got to use silver." And so,
when you say sticks, you mean the thinnest possible?
Yeah, like twigs,
like a twig. Yeah,
that's what made it so funny. I'm like, they're not even eating anything of substance.
Beating him up with these tiny little sticks as he just turns into this gooey thing. He says, "You need to use silver," and his skin starts ripping from his body, and there's blood spraying everywhere. And this guy runs into his tent and grabs some handcuffs and puts it on his wrist. And they're silver handcuffs. And so it stops his transformation, leaving him as a big pile of goo with a face and melted eyeballs and a little talking mouth. It's the best thing.
I'll give that to this movie. That part is fantastic.
The sassiest character in this entire film is a pile of goo.
Goo.
So was he turning into a werewolf?
I think so. Silver? I think he's mid-werewolf transformation or something like that.
So I like that concept of like, what if someone stopped transforming to a werewolf halfway through?
I love him going, you could have done that about 10 seconds earlier.
Yeah. He still had body parts.
Yeah.
And they mentioned, like, why do you have handcuffs? Is that for this girl who's here? And he says, yeah, but not for the reasons you think. And he pulls out a mask because he is the backwoods slasher. Well, he's, just the most generic name possible, but it's fine because it's not important. He tries to throw an axe at the slasher, and the axe hits a passing biker in the crotch, and he was just there just to get hit in the crotch. And then one of the girls is running through the woods, and she gets a tree branch in her mouth that like rips her cheek apart. And my favorite thing, and then the killer throws a large rock at her head, and her head explodes like with fire.
We're talking we're talking maniac levels of gore here.
Yeah. Bloody explosion.
And the most ridiculous thing ever. It's oh god, keep going. Sorry.
So they keep running through the woods, and there's a guy looking for the goo man, and the killer pulls off his legs and beats him with him. And then they get back to the camp.
He's going to run a marathon as he's getting hit with his legs.
He's getting beat up with his own legs. And then the killer chases the girl back to the camp, and he slips in the goo, and he falls face down on the axe that's stuck in the dude's crotch, and like the back of the axe sticks through the back of his head. I think I missed. There was a guy who got like hugged to death too, and he spits a bunch of blood out. But anyway, as she's there, the goo man bites her, and
he asked her to help bring the rest of his goo
bring
over.
all the goo together.
You push it together, maybe help because I never done it before. I'm pretty scared. And then he bites her, and goes, "Sorry, couldn't help myself."
And so she starts the whole transformation process, and just about at the same point in the process, she gets the handcuffs on her too. So I think she's like an upper torso and goo, and he's goo, and everyone's goo, and that's the end of the segment. It's the best thing ever. I love it so much.
Yeah, I like this one. I'll give it that much. I mean, the effects are great. It was a little, again, there's so much happening in these that they're like, there's no setup whatsoever. It's like 0 to 60.
It's Monty Python. It's not supposed to be. It's just meant to be.
Yeah.
or airplane, probably even a better analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just craziness for the fun of craziness and blood and guts. And so I said I'd mention Chris McEnroy more because he's the director of this. Mostly what he's done outside of this is short movies, short films.
Yeah.
He did We Summoned a Demon. He did one called Death Metal. He did one called We Forgot About the Zombies that was at last year's CFF.
Mm-hmm.
They're all bloody as hell and hilarious. Like every single one, he's one of my favorite. Like if I see a Chris McEnroy short is going to be in something, I will instantly watch that. Death Metal, the guy like sings a forbidden song, and an axe on the back of his metal or on the back of his guitar flies around a park, just chopping people in half. It cuts a little girl's hands off while she's hanging on a like jungle gym. It hits a baby. Like nothing is sacred in these things, and it's hilarious and fun, and it 100% is my kind of humor. So, I mean, I love this movie as a whole, but about 50% of my love for the entire movie is this segment.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This segment, it's every time it gets goofy, and then it just keeps getting goofier and goofier and goofier and more ridiculous. And I imagine the director on the set, as they go to grab the sticks to pretend to hit, he's like, no, get the tiny ones.
Get the tiny sticks.
Yeah.
Like, everything they do in this is tongue in cheek and meant to. It's meant to be just a fun, goofy segment that you can laugh at. Which, again, think about watching this in the heart of the pandemic when this is what the world needed.
Yeah,
right.
This is the kind of thing I would think I would like this a lot better if I watched it with an audience to laugh together with.
I mean, we all watched it at home,
Right.
but I think we were chatting maybe.
But no, I think this is by a good mile my favorite segment of the whole thing.
I mean, I will not deny that this is the best segment. Like, there are other segments that I like, but this is top tier, like 6 out of 5 for me. Like I love it. He also did a short film called Guts about an office worker whose guts hang outside of his stomach. Like they're like situated on the outside, and it's bloody special effects. That's all it is. And it's humor, and it 100% works for me. All right. Is it my turn again?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. This next one is called Mr. Mister, like an acronym. So there's a guy sitting alone at a bar. He's chatting with the bartender who's kind of creepy. And the husband goes to the bathroom and he notices a flyer for an organization called Mr., which is Men in Serious Turmoil Establishing Rights. So we got a men's rights organization. As the guy looks at the flyer, we get to a flashback about the husband and wife arguing. And so, maybe he feels inadequate. And so he goes to a Mr. meeting where the group's leader is giving a pep talk to the men. And there's like a little montage of them complaining about their lives and, how the women have neutered them. And after the meeting, the leader there talks with the husband and says, we're having a little get together tonight. And he goes home and is about to put something in a duffel bag. We don't see what. Then he arrives at the get-together at a football field. And on that football field, the leader snaps his fingers, the stadium lights go out, and the group starts transforming into werewolves. And at that point, the husband goes through and kills every single one of them in, increasingly ridiculous, bloody ways. And then he comes home to a party that his wife has put on. There's a lot of people there, and he shows her werewolf fur. Like he intentionally went there to skin the werewolves. And everyone puts on black robes and begins a ceremony with a pentagram in the middle of the room. So that's segment 2, Mr.
And then don't forget the very last shot as they're trying to summon the devil or demon. It zooms in on the live, laugh, love sign.
Yeah. It's like a suburban home.
A great little bow at the very end of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I like this one. This was kind of, again, pretty fun. There's some fun gore when he's just kind of like mowing down werewolves. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Were Cub, or what was it, the one from Chillerama? The Werebears. Some of the makeup on that.
Okay.
Not, I mean, obviously different, but it had a little bit of that like cheap werewolf feel.
Sure.
Oh, okay. I get that.
Like, yeah. It was fun. It was good. Wasn't It was weird that he put his wedding ring in a shotgun, blasted it, and then took it out.
Well, it was silver.
Stomach.
It's silver.
That's how they work.
Well, you don't know that. Have you ever tried it?
Maybe.
No, you tried it. First, you live in California. You have no access to firearms. Like, how are you live? And maybe more people shouldn't. That's one of the stories. Another
Sure,
day.
yeah.
I really, really love this one. I like how he's taking a piss and he's got that weird interaction at the beginning with the bartender.
Yeah, the bartender.
And then, which I kind of laugh at because there's been a lot of times I'm on the road for work and I'm that guy at the bar because I'm trying to get some food late at night. But I do love that he sees the ad above the urinal for Mister, and it's basically it reminded me of Married with Children when Al would go to the no man meetings.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of didn't know where they were going with this at first. I forgot about the segment until he got to the football field. But I love the fact that he just that I guess in this world, werewolves are just toxic masculinity people, and that's how he knew where to find the werewolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a reverse of Trick or Treat, the segment where the werewolves, the female werewolves, try to entrap the serial killer. Is interesting. I was waiting for him to like show his vampire teeth. I thought he was gonna be a vampire.
No, they're just Satanists. You know,
Garden variety
suburban Satanist.
For a second, though, I have to point out a thing about Satanism. Though there is many different forms of Satanism. One being the most common one, Levian Satanism, which is a belief in no God, a belief in basically yourself. But there are theistic satanic groups out there that I don't know enough about to have any comments on.
This is the black robe pentagram on the floor variety.
Yeah, they're trying to summon something, and you know.
Yeah, I think what I liked about this segment a lot is the director and star is Noah Segan. Mm-hmm. He directed another movie called Blood Relatives, but he's been an actor in a ton of things. He was in Dead Girl, Cabin Fever 2, which I think is actually really underrated as far as like a splasher, a really splashy, gory movie. He was in Starry Eyes, Tales of Halloween, and then the thing I really recognized him from was Knives Out and Glass Onion. He plays different characters in each one.
Yeah, in Knives Out, he's one of the detectives.
Yeah,
I like him a lot.
I like him a lot too.
I like that he's getting parts in some big Hollywood movies, but he's still like he's a horror guy. Like that's what he loves, and that's what he directs when he makes stuff. I mean, I think
he's friends with Rain Johnson, so he was like an X-wing fighter in one of the Star Wars movies.
I was gonna say he was in one of the Star Wars movies.
He's living it.
I love it.
No, I think it's a fun segment, you know. And if you've never seen it before and you don't know where it's going, you think maybe he's joining up with these guys, but it's all a big ruse for his, you know, summoning so that he can help get some werewolf skin. You know, it's being a good husband. He's taking care.
Yeah, I see. He's being a supportive husband. His wife was happy when they got home and with his bounty.
I do always love too when they show these satanic cult groups. I love that just the diversity in it, and just to show you that if there's one religion that's pretty much accepting everybody, it's Satanism.
You just gotta find a black robe. You're good to go.
We have punch and pie. I'm just kidding. That'd kill me. But we have. I don't know.
All right. Our next segment is Girls' Night Out of Body. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is not my favorite. Like this is kind of a slump in the middle of the movie.
This is my least favorite, yeah.
Yeah, mine too. All right, so there's a girl at a convenience store, and you can tell that they're kind of being stalked by somebody. There's this lollipop that's in the shape of a human skull that says "not for sale" on it, and then she steals it and leaves the store with her friends. And they all get in the car and drive home, and you can see that the stalker is still watching them from inside another car. And he follows them as they go to this hotel. Stalker watches them through the window and start drinking, listening to music. She pulls out the lollipop, and a couple of them lick the lollipop. And they start feeling strange, go to lay down. And then later you see that they have, like, their faces have transformed into the skull that's on the lollipop. And both the girls who licked it. And so they call the convenience store asking for help, saying, you know, I took this. And the store, like, the lady at the store just laughs at them. And then the other girl reaches for the lollipop, and the stalker is, like, coming to open the door. And she licks the lollipop And then she pulls the stalker into the room and they kill him and then dance and have a pillow fight. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this one. I don't have a lot of answers for this one.
What is it with slumber parties and pillow fights? Like, is that a real thing? I mean, that's what me and Joe did down at Chattanooga Film Festival. We had pillow fights.
Right. Yeah, we put on our sexiest little outfits and we had a little pillow fight. It was good.
Comb each other's beards.
I wouldn't say comb, but I would say both rub and.
I don't know where you're going.
Yeah,
I'm a little concerned.
I didn't comb his beard. I did both admire it and massage it.
So, I mean, okay. Yeah, this episode so here's the problem with this episode. They didn't know what they made it seem like they didn't know what the lollipop does, because all of them would kind of freak out when they have those weird faces.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end, they use it to their advantage suddenly. But then they make it seem like they meant to. I don't understand what their intention was.
I'm with you on that. It was a little bit convoluted in how they're trying to get to that point.
For me, the reason this one doesn't work is it follows, you got Goo Man, you got the guy slaughtering werewolves. It's all comedy up until this point. Mm-hmm. And then this one, I think, maybe takes itself too seriously. Like, I don't find the comedy in this one. I don't know. It doesn't do a lot for me.
It's in that weird limbo state where it's not comedic enough to be comedy, but it takes itself but it's too much comedy to be taken fully seriously.
Right.
And it gets kind of lost in that limbo there.
And if they were trying to use that to kill the stalker guy, okay, fine, lean into that. Or have this guy stumble into, and then they're like, well, if we're going to be messed up like this, let's all just give into it. But they never make that connection.
I think it'd be cool lore if it was this almost like a drug, almost like, what was it, bath salts or something like that people get for this effect, and they know what's going to happen, and they use it to take out the serial killer.
Yeah, I'd be down with that, but at least but I don't know, there's too much inconsistency in what was happening.
Yeah, no, I don't think the short works on its own. I think if it had been a short, it might have worked better if it was just a short by itself. But as a segment in this wacky over the top, it definitely doesn't work here. It would work better.
I did really enjoy the cinematography of it, though. I thought it definitely had an eye for flair, which was really good. So again, it's kind of one of those pieces of an anthology where it might be my least favorite, but I'm still give some props to people that worked on it. I think there's some cool stuff to take from.
Yeah, no, I think there's good stuff here. I just. Maybe it wasn't a good choice for this movie. I feel like maybe it was a segment that existed outside this movie and they just popped it in.
And I didn't think about that, but you're right. I think that would have worked better as a standalone short. And realistically, it could have been something maybe they cut out of the movie, but then added and said, hey, here's a preview of what you might see in Scare Package, and you can put that out there. Because I think it's about 20 minutes long, and let's be honest, the movie is about an hour and 40 or so.
Yeah,
you could have cut that out, and it'd have been still okay.
Yeah, that's going to be part of my final analysis. So I think they should have cut out at least this one and made some of the other ones a little bit more fleshed out. Mm-hmm. This one definitely could have used at least 5 to 10 more minutes to kind of figure out the plot.
Yeah, I just think totally it doesn't work in this movie.
So it was directed and kind of written by Courtney and Hillary Andujar. If I'm saying that wrong, forgive me. They're twins. And they have a really long production resume. Some really good stuff. So Courtney was an associate producer on Freaky. She did a ton of production design, including Birth, Rebirth, one of my favorite movies from last year.
Wow, that's cool.
And Hillary also worked on Birth, Rebirth, and just they have a really good resume. And I think given a better script, I think they could really do something.
Yeah, they have an eye for it. It's again, it's one of those things where I'll definitely be interested in what they do next.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this one just doesn't really gel.
Yeah, I think it's one of those that tells me keep an eye on the director, but the particular effort's not for me.
Okay.
All right, next up, The Night He Came Back Again, Part 4, The Final Kill. All right, you got a couple in bed kissing, and you see someone's watching them from the closet. Suddenly, the window gets smashed, and a masked killer climbs through the window. And before the killer can stab the girl, a group of friends spring out of the closet, and they stun the killer with stun batons. And so then we go to a garage where the killer wakes up, tied to a table, surrounded by this girl and all of her friends. This girl expresses her anger at the killer for killing her friends and boyfriend every year. So this is something, this is part 4. So this keeps happening.
Every 4th of July.
Every 4th of July. Someone hands her a knife and she stabs him in the chest and doesn't do anything. She stabs him over and over, doesn't do anything. One of the guys tries to demonstrate that he's dead, but the killer stabs him in the back of the head with a knife. Next, they attach jumper cables to his body and shock him with a car battery. And one of the guys goes to check his vitals with a telescope, but a bolt of electricity from the killer travels up the stethoscope and explodes his head. Next, they stuff firecrackers in his mouth. The firecrackers go off and cut him in half. And one of the girls picks up the killer's lower half, and his legs come back to life. They wrap themselves around her and choke her. And so a guy grabs the intestines and throws them up over a ceiling beam and pulls. But that just lifts her up in the air and makes her strangle faster. And so she dies.
Why didn't he just let go? I don't understand what was happening.
I don't know. He basically hung her.
Yeah.
With the intestines.
Well, all right. To be fair, though, if someone wraps her legs around your head like that, you can just push her legs off. You shouldn't die to that.
Right. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's why there's a triangle choke, which is how you're supposed to choke someone with your legs. Just saying. Not that shit. That's a head scissors used in many apartment wrestling match videos.
Yeah.
Not used in a real fight. Although there is a move called the Suzanne Summers you can do. That's where you. So a head scissors does work. Yeah, because you use your thighs to
thigh master. Got it.
You go for the converse. You isolate the arm while using your thighs to choke them. It's very demoralizing.
All right. All right. So one of the guys then professes his love for the main girl, and the killer's watching and taunting them. And she grabs a shotgun and tells the guy to unmask the killer. He takes off the killer's mask, and it's just this handsome dude. It's not some monster. It's a good-looking guy. And she hesitates to shoot him, and then he grabs the guy by the throat and chokes him. And she still can't bring herself to shoot him, and he dies, or the other guy dies. She finally pulls the trigger, blows a hole in his head. And then she rents a wood chipper and she shoves the body into the wood chipper. And just as he's about to become little pieces of person, the killer reveals that he's her brother. And she tries to stop. It's too late. There's a fireworks display. And then out of the pile of blood and guts, the killer's hand is reformed and it comes back up out of the thing. So that's that one. I like this one. I think it's fun.
Me too. I think it's it's a goofy take on every slasher movie ever.
Yeah, because the killer survives ridiculous stuff, and so you have basically made him completely invulnerable for this. He can be chopped up, but he's just going to come back together again.
No, but I love how the final girl or the main heroine knows this, and she's not your typical dumb horror movie person where they're like, oh no, we shot him once, he's dead. No, he's not.
Right.
And my big question for you, Jody, is. Do you think this is where David Gordon Green got the idea for the ending of Halloween Ends?
Yeah.
Did he have ideas for Halloween Ends? I don't know.
That's what I mean. That's one of those movies I don't hate as much as everyone else does, but I love the hate, and I totally get it. I completely get it.
I will say, yeah, the conversation around that movie is, I think, much more entertaining than the movie itself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The fucking the justice for Corey people out there, all the people that are trying to. I'm sorry. I will argue that movie is okay and it's watchable. But I will not argue that the movie is that. People be like, how can anyone criticize that movie? I'm like, well, there's a lot of stuff in there to criticize.
Corey doesn't need justice. He got to star in a movie that wasn't about him.
Okay.
It wasn't his movie, but he got to be a big part of it.
We have a 3-hour podcast about that.
To our Patreons out there, if we get enough money, we can send Jody to Horror Hound Festival, Horror Hound Weekend in Cincinnati, and we can pay for the Corey photo op.
There we go. I want to know, why didn't she take off the mask? Why did she wait till the very end?
Because that's a trope. That's every kind of horror movie ever to work.
Yeah. I know.
I think we're just playing in meta again. Doing it the way they do in the movies.
Yeah, this was a little overly silly for my taste, my personal taste.
Well, you'll be happy to know in Scare Package 2 there is a sequel to this segment where we get some more of it.
Yes.
It goes into the lore. It goes into the lore on the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what I needed. I'm like, I just felt like I was just like in the middle of an ocean with like no anchor or no like direction of like what is happening in this.
Jason,
I will. Okay,
blood and guts. That's
Blood
what's
I
happening.
know.
Dude, it's not.
You want a movie like with a plot? This is blood and guts.
That's exactly.
I mean,
I'll
you
put it this
could
way.
totally see the slime guy. You could totally see that being a Tales from the Crypt bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I see in like one segment, yes, a
And,
well fleshed out
and
segment.
your point, Jody, I think every segment in this could have been a Tales from the Crypt bit, except for the lollipop one.
Yeah. No, it definitely could.
Well, it could have been too, believe me.
But, I
Later
mean-
seasons, but it would, the other ones tonally fit in better with
The
the.
lollipop was a season 7 episode.
Yeah,
Just a bunch of British girls going for a lollipop.
Okay, onward.
All right. The next one is called So Much to Do. And if I've had trouble describing some of the other ones, I'm going to have so much trouble with this one. This one confused me the first time I watched it. I will say that. Because I still don't fully know what happened, but it's entertaining. Like, I don't understand it, but there's enough happening that makes it entertaining. All right, so there's a person driving around. They've got black gloves on. They've got a man in the back of the trunk with tied up in ropes. Park the car. Two mysterious men get the man out, take him to a gravesite. He says he has so much to do, and then they take off a glove, and he's got a mysterious symbol on his hand.
so it's an omega sign. Looks like.
Yeah, mega sign. And he burns the symbol into the tied up man's head, and they kick him into the grave and bury him alive. Later on, there is smoke coming up out of the grave and travels across the ground, and a woman sitting alone in her car, parked by an empty field. I don't know why she's out there. It never explains how she's in this empty field. But she's on the phone with her friend, telling her friend not to spoil her favorite TV show, Battle of the Mages. She hasn't caught up. Finale's tonight. The smoke comes and engulfs the car, and she tries to investigate. She gets back in the car. Her phone's not working. And then that man is standing behind the car, the guy with the thing on his head. And he vaporizes back into smoke. The windows all break on the car, and she breathes in the smoke. The windows reform, fix themselves. And then she says that she has so much to do, like the man did earlier. She looks in the rearview mirror, and we see him. So he's basically possessed her, taken over her body. So the man comes home to her home, sits down to watch TV. It's the finale of the show that she didn't want spoiled. And so she calls out to him, and he goes to her mirror, revealing her standing next to him. So this is all happening like internally inside her body, claiming that he has her body. They get into a fight, which again, he is possessing her at the time, so I don't know how the fight works. There's like a fight inside of her. It's a very physical fight. They fight over the remote. The whole time this is happening, you keep seeing these scenes from Battle of the Mages where it's just introducing the characters, and it'll be like a guy like moving his hands around, like the Shia LaBeouf magic thing. It's like magic.
I mean, you did realize though they announced like 4 different characters, and it's all the same actor.
It's also,
Yeah. But the actor will like move around and like magic. And she hits him so hard he vaporizes. She has her body back. And she goes back to her car, checks her phone, where her friend spoils the end of the show. And then she drives off, and those 2 mysterious men who branded the guy earlier follow behind her. I have no idea what's happening in this segment.
I don't, but I love the fight at the end.
Fight is great. The weird scenes from Battle of the Mages crack me up.
I would watch Battle of the Mages. I'm just saying, if anybody wants to make that show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lord help you spoil that finale.
I'll say this was my least favorite. Like just
More
slightly
more than the lollipop?
Slightly below the lollipop, just because I have no clue what the hell's happening this entire time. I was completely lost. I did like the mages part was fun, and so that the guy that they're showing over and over again is also the director and writer of the segment, Baron Vaughn, who is an actor mostly known for Grace and Frankie. So I recognized him. I was like, okay, that guy. That gave me something to think about. But yeah, this was baffling. I don't know what the hell's happening in this.
It doesn't make much sense. I think the fight and the weird Battle of the Mages scenes are enough to like make me like this one. Like it's fun to watch. I don't know what's going on. I don't think you're supposed to know what's going on, but it's this one. I put the lollipop one lower, but this is also it's the mediocre part of the movie for me.
Yeah, I think if you took out this in the lollipop one, or like took out at least one of those and made the other ones a little better, either budgetary or time to flesh it out slightly, I think I would have been a lot happier with this.
So I will agree with you, except for the other ones don't need to be made better. They're all good. Especially the Goo Man. The Goo Man is perfect. It's perfection. All right. So that is all of the actual segments, but our wraparound actually has an ending. So Hawn, the new guy who got trained at Rad Chad's, ultimately betrays Chad because he's part of a scientific group running experiments on a serial killer known as the Devil's Lake Impaler. Who is it that plays the Devil's Lake Impaler? It's a wrestler, right?
Dustin Runnels is his real name. Dustin Rhodes, son of the American Dream. Dustin Rhodes, the son of a plumber, the two-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Well, I will say, when I posted about how much I love this movie on social media, he commented about how much did I enjoy
dude,
all those people, and I'm like, yes,
you got to find that tweet and send it to me. That's one of my wife's favorite wrestlers, and he is wrestling still in AEW, and he is fucking good. He is so good, and he's almost 60 now, I think, and he's a big guy. He's legit like 6'4".
He's kind of terrifying.
He's a big dude, and you don't realize what's funny is back in the late 90s, early 2000s, Jeff Hardy, was one of the smallest wrestlers in WWE. And if you look at him nowadays, he's way bigger than most modern wrestlers. And it's one of those things, just as people understood what real fighting is, you don't have to be a big meathead to be a good fighter. The perception of what a wrestler should look like has changed, which is good. It's for the better.
Sure.
Like less steroids, all that good stuff. But the fact that he's like out there with these young guys and having just fucking great matches because he has his old school sensibility, but he can also move. Like he moves so well at his age, and he credits it to DDP yoga. Just saying.
Nice. Well, he's good in this because.
I'll give you a little more facts here real fast. Sorry. He wrestled WWE. He wrestled WWE or WWF as Goldust.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember Goldust? And one of his most famous matches was at WrestleMania 12, the parking lot Hollywood brawl with the one, the only Roddy Piper. So that's his tie-in to, I'll say that's his other tie-in to horror right there.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. He's really good in this. He's really intimidating, and I thought it was really fun that he commented on one of my posts.
That's so cool.
Anytime you have a little brush with somebody like that, it's like, oh, that's neat.
I was at El Segundo Brewing Company in California and took a picture next to the Steve Austin beer sign, and I just tagged him. I said, because he's always doing his podcast, sip a beer for the working man, and he responded with cheers, and I'm like, fucking save. That's going to be a hit of dopamine whenever I need it in the future.
Yep.
Nice.
But this is the cabin in the woods part of things. Like they're trying different experiments on the killer. Like at one point they have a woman trying to run away. She's on a treadmill and he's on a treadmill behind her, and he's just walking, and she's doing the horror movie, run and fall down, and just kind of tracking how fast he's going. And Chad realizes, because they've all been betrayed and they've been taken in. And he's in this place with a bunch of horror stereotypes. Like he's like, oh, you're the jock, you're the stoner, you're the slut, you're the black guy, you're the final girl, and I'm the know-it-all horror guy.
Do you mention too that Hawn is a doctor here and is the catalyst for all this happening?
Yeah.
Oh, if you did, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And so they're in a horror movie, and so the Impaler eventually gets out, and Chad and the guys, or all the people, they start to run away. It's one of these things where there's blood everywhere because he's killed all the guards, and we're back to gore for comedy's sake. And the best thing, so imagine you're watching this at CFF. You don't know anything about this movie when you go into it, and then all of a sudden, when the horror guy needs a hero, Joe Bob friggin' Briggs steps out into the movie as Joe Bob Briggs. It's a magical moment. Like, it's such a perfect moment.
And the rest of it is Chad geeking out of him and obviously wanting to make
Daddy.
Yeah, he's calling him Dad. Like, yeah, he wants nothing to do with Chad.
Oh, so good. But anyway, so Joe Bob's with him.
Also, the first line out of Joe Bob's mouth isn't exactly like this, but it was, "If you want to live, come with me."
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I imagine the director gave him the line like, "Come with me if you want to live," and he goes, "No, I'm gonna do it a little bit different."
Yeah. No, this is the moment that because Aaron and Cameron directed this one, right? Aaron Burns and
Cameron Burns, Aaron.
Cameron Burns and Aaron Coons. They directed this one. This is the moment that you're like, these guys are 100% horror fans. They are here for this because they love it. Like, that's why they're making this movie when Joe Bob Briggs shows up and they're playing with all these tropes. So anyway, Joe Bob gets killed right here in this movie. And Chad flees with the person he identifies as the final girl and the stoner. You find out that the car cannot start if the killer's within 14 meters of it. You get some backstory about it. Anyway, the stoner tricks the impaler into believing that he is his his brother or his
or son that passed away from cancer or something.
It's his son. That's right. It's his son because
no. I thought it was like a big brother, little brother, like the program.
Okay, well, either way, he has a
Corey Feldman moment.
He does the Corey Feldman thing. He shaves his head, has little patchy hair, and he looks like Corey Feldman did in Friday the 13th Part 4.
And he even says they're sitting outside this location of this video store, and she goes, "Do you have any ideas?" He goes, "I have Corey Feldman. I have a plan," and then he runs off to go enact the Corey Feldman plan.
It's great, and Chad gets killed. The stoner tricks him into believing him to be this other person, and the final girl manages to incapacitate him. Stoner dies though, so that they can get the getaway car going. And so the girl runs off into a field where she wakes up from a nightmare, and the impaler's in the car with her. She dodges his assault and runs out of the car. And then we go all the way back to the guy from the cold open who intercepts her and tosses a cigarette and explodes the car with the impaler inside. So we get our full wraparound with the cold open guy saving the day. This segment is so much fun. I have zero complaints about any part of it. Jason has complaints. I can see it on his face.
Man, so before Jason goes and ruins all of our nights, many things I love about this. I love the impaler when the macho guy is going to have a fight with him. So he does this series of flips and backflips and throws a punch and then gets his arm torn off and it stabbed into the side of his head.
Yeah.
I love when Joe Bob's dying and he motions Rad Chad to get closer to talk to him and goes, he says something effective, "I don't like you," or something like that. Using his last breath to express his disdain for this person. The person's like, "I'll stay here and do anything for you." He's like, "Yeah, don't do that. Just go away. I'd rather die than be associated with Chad." And I thought the death of Chad was great too, because I did not expect. I knew it happened, but for my first watch, I didn't expect Chad to die. I thought he was gonna be the one that survives. And I loved too earlier on when they were in the laboratory and they're seeing all those file folders of how to jam cell phone coverage and how to stop a car from starting.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I'd like this segment a lot. Jason, just go ahead and bring us down.
Yeah, ruin it.
Again, this is my truth, guys. There's just so many little things that I started to find annoying with this. First of all, I didn't grow up watching Monster Vision or any of the Joe Bob stuff, so I don't have much affinity for him, but I like that he was in this. I like that people get excited for that.
We've just been watching Joe Bob, and commenting on it and hanging out and chatting for, 6 years now, but, that's fine. Don't join in. It's cool.
Jason's too cool.
I've tried to watch Monster Vision and then the Last Drive, and I'm like, okay, I get it.
You gotta watch it with people. It's a community event.
I did it online. I think if I was with people, I think I'd get into it. But just there's so many little things like how did the Impaler escape? Like they're
Doesn't
showing
matter.
monitors, and then I know it doesn't matter, but
Like, when you watch a Friday the 13th film, are you super concerned about how Jason came back to life that time, or?
yes, I want to know. Like,
How did the lightning
you got struck
work
by
when the
lightning.
lightning
Okay,
struck the
I don't
boat
care.
and
That
went down
makes
the anchor line?
you got
Doesn't
Frankenstein.
matter.
Whatever. I'm
They
okay with that.
literally did the Jason 10 thing where they're trying to figure out how to kill Jason, and they can never
Mhm.
figure out how to kill him, so they just froze him, but he escapes and murders everybody. So that's kind of what they were doing, I think, where he's a test subject, and then he just says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna
Yeah, but give
murk
me
some of
a
you guys."
little something. And again, I know.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. When I see a supernatural serial killer in a movie, I don't have to question how they escape the grasps of the authorities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need something, or like, what was the point of all this research? Like in Cabin in the Woods, they have that great scene with Sigourney Weaver where she comes out and kind of like helps them like tie everything together. I need something to tie it together. So even if they had like just one like movie executive to say, "Well, we're trying to make the perfect horror movie," or "We're trying to figure
That'd
out
have
how
been
people
terrible.
can survive horror movies in real life,"
I think that's part of the beauty of it, though. You don't need to know why it exists. I think if they over-explained it, just personally, I think it kind of make them it devalue the movie.
I totally understand that. I know I like some things to be ambiguous, but I need if I'm I need something. I just need a little something. And then they go into that like holding cell at the beginning of the segment, and everyone's wearing like the cliche stuff. Like it would make more sense to me if they like dressed them intentionally, like they all drugged them and put them in costumes to help them play the part or become the part. Because the guy who's obviously dressed up like Johnny Depp, I'm like,
No,
what?
because what you're asking for then is it's their people that live like this every day, and they track these people and look for them and try to find people that fit their stereotype.
So someone just happened to be wearing the same outfit that Johnny Depp wore in Nightmare on Elm Street.
100%. I guarantee you, there's someone right now. There's fucking a lot of people in the world, and there's a very good chance that someone's wearing that exact outfit right now.
You know, I think this segment exists to call out a bunch of horror tropes and make fun of them and have fun with them and have a Joe Bob cameo and have a bunch of blood and guts and then have Friday the 13th Part 4. Like, I don't think this exists to have a story, like a complicated backstory.
Yeah, and that's what I was looking for, was at least have some like larger logic to this world. And maybe if they don't care, they don't care. But that's what I had trouble connecting with. And maybe Skirt Package 2 will help that. I don't know.
No, I
If
doubt that,
some
Jason. I doubt that.
or
It's not like there's a whole different thing going on. There's a
Yeah.
whole Saw thing, and there's a Hellraiser thing, and there's a Skinless Man, and it's hilarious when the Skinless Man walks around.
Well, there's
Don't
time.
even watch it, Jason. It's a little bit too lowbrow for your highbrow
It's
sensitivities.
not. No, trust me. I'm not a movie snob whatsoever. It's again what I'm looking for in the movie. And there's the parts where they just like literally say out loud what the trope is. Like, oh, it's that trope. It's that trope. I'm like,
yeah, which is that's what
It's fine.
Yeah.
This is meant to be big and broad, I think. Like, I think you're looking for nuance. This is Three Stooges. Like, this is physical humor as much as anything. Like, I don't think there's supposed to be a lot of like nuance or real commentary. Just having fun with stuff you love.
Yeah,
Jason's Hollywood over there. He wants caviar on the hills.
No,
we're cool. We're cool. Fish and chips at a good pub.
This is the A24 scare package.
No, God. No. I don't want that.
Scaramarink. It's just pictures of walls.
Oh my God.
Every segment is nothing but walls.
Man, all I know is I watched. I was turning on Shudder today to see what was new, and they're playing Skinamarink as part of the Shudder TV, and it was just a picture of like a flashlight for an extended period of time, and I was like, I don't know. I'm not gonna watch it.
But okay. To give this a real chance, I want to cover number 2, and I'll try if I have time, I'll rewatch the first one to see if I like it better on another watch. Now that I've calibrated my expectations.
Okay.
I mean, I thought you should have calibrated your expectations in that opening segment, which pretty much said, "Hey, here's the expectations you should have for this film."
Well,
this is going to be fun.
I don't like fun.
I hate fun.
I'm like the Captain Von Trapp before we could start singing.
before we decided on a Tales from the Crypt podcast, Jason wanted to do a Lars von Trier podcast.
Yes, totally. Dance in the dark. That's what I call a good time.
We're gonna dedicate
Antichrist?
120 weeks to Antichrist.
Antichrist is hilarious. Funniest movie of all time. Keeps getting funnier.
Every time you watch it, that genital mutilation is just funnier every single time.
That's why I have that Chaos Reigns tattoo on my back.
Oh, yeah.
No, I do think talking this through with you guys has helped me understand it a bit better. I'm willing to give it another chance, but my experience watching it through was I was struggling.
So I need to ask, where did or when did you watch this? Like, was it like in the middle of the day, like while you had other stuff to do?
No, I watched it Friday night. You know, kids like around like 9:30.
That's a good time.
Yeah, that's my usual movie watching time.
Were there any edibles involved? Because there should be next time.
I took I took a low dose, but usually that enhances. That makes me more open to silliness. Maybe I don't think I was in a bad mood, but you know, it's been a week of whatever it was.
Right.
So again, I think knowing what it is, I think I'll try it again to see if that helps when we watch the second one.
This is basically the pity date, right? When it's like, it kind of didn't work out, but he was a nice enough guy. Let me just go ahead and give him another date.
Oh, I think it's a pity date. I'm
like, my friend said he was cool, so let me go ahead and just try it one more time.
Maybe I missed something the first time.
Yeah.
Hey, we forgot to mention one director during all this, I realized. The one who did The Night He Came Back Again, Part 4, The Final Kill. The director is Anthony Cousins. And I think he's done one other movie. But what I like him for is, again, a CFF short that came out last year or the year before called Every Time We Meet for Ice Cream, Your Whole Fucking Face Explodes.
That was year before last. That was great.
I love it so much.
Oh, really? I'll have to check that out.
It's a fantastic short. It's sweet. Even though at the end of the movie, two people have no faces, but it's sweet. It's cute. It's like a little meet cute involving explosion and faces falling off.
Oh, I know he did it. It's very good.
He has a movie coming out soon, or might have just come out, called Frogman, which I'm a little curious about.
Yeah.
Hell comes a Frogman.
Yeah, there's a lot of promising talent that I'd like to see more of. But
this very much feels like a movie where directors and people who make a lot of short films, they get a chance to kind of have free reign and do whatever they wanted. Because I very much feel, I follow Aaron Kuntz on social media. He seems like a dude who, when the Scare Package movies come up, he says, hey, do whatever you want to do. Have fun with it, have a good time, and make something ridiculous. And I feel like he gives them a lot of freedom in making their stuff.
Yeah, I will say this definitely feels like a labor of love, and I give that a lot of credit, a lot of leeway. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
I think one of the differences, though, from a lot of, I hate to say, but a lot of independent anthologies are way more inconsistent than this, whereas you usually have one good segment and 4 to 5 stinkers. So he's definitely pulling the cream of the crop from some of these short film directors. Yeah, it's not anybody else out there that they've just gotten to that level already.
Yeah, every single short film in here, I want to see more from the director, even the ones I like not as much.
Agreed.
Yeah. Also, I just think there's too much. There's literally 8 segments. I can't think of any outside of like ABCs of Death. I can't think of any anthology that has this many segments, and that's a really, really hard thing to pack into all one movie. So
I'm fine with it for
maybe
this.
it's overly ambitious for my in my opinion.
Well, I will tell you, Scare Package 2 has probably more plot in the wraparound.
Okay.
I don't think there's any segment that rises to the level of Goo Man, because that's
I'm with you.
Unimpeachable to me. Like, it's perfect. But it does have Kelly Maroney in it from Night of the Comet.
Nice.
And she's great in there. There's several returning characters. It takes place at Brad Tad's funeral.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's Hellraiser references that are very clear, obvious. You know, I'm in hell, kill me kind of stuff. Skinless bodies. There's
Hooks.
it's more of the same stuff, but it's still fun. I had a great time with Scare Package 2. I think I probably value Scare Package 2 more than most people. I don't think it got quite the same reception as the first one, but these movies are great. They're made for me.
I definitely love the second one, but I think so many people, I don't think it was as good as the first one. And I think sometimes with sequels, if it's not better than the first or as good as the first, people are disappointed. But I heartily enjoyed both of them. So
there's one scene in Scare Package 2 that I will not ruin that calls back to Friday the 13th Part 2 that had me absolutely doubled over cackling. So good. Mondo, I'll mention to you what it was later.
I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
We will cover it. And then, like I said, I want to give this movie another chance. Another pity watch. We'll see.
Just go into it not thinking too hard. Just like, have fun. Don't ask questions.
Jason treats these movies like a sad hand job. This is going to be where no one's having a good time.
Sometimes it just needs a little more lube.
Are you going to finish? Sure, but are you going to?
Fine.
You're going to finish just because you have to, not because you want to.
Oh my god. Okay. So I think we're all in agreement that One Time in the Woods is the MVP.
Oh, unanimous. 100%.
Okay.
Yes, that question.
Our good friends at Fright Rags made a Goo Man shirt, and I didn't get it, and I'm sad that I missed it because it's great.
Oh man, speaking of merchandise, hey, first of all, I like when I can make Jason break. When I can make Jody turn red and break, I'm even more proud of myself.
Apparently, hand jobs jokes will do it.
They'll do it. Yeah, we're there.
Well, first of all, aren't most hand jobs jokes anyways? There's way better ways to get off.
We're just so happy to have a movie that's not making us all sad right now.
Oh, I think I'm about to go watch Scare Package 2 before I go to bed now.
Yeah, no, I'm wanting more Scare Package in my life.
I want to keep the fun sliding up and down.
Okay. Mondo, give us your song of the day.
Wait, do we need to rate it first?
Yeah.
No, we do favorite segments for the anthologies.
Oh, okay.
We haven't done that yet. We need to do that.
We did. We just did. We all said One Time in the Woods.
Okay. Well, do we want? I mean, okay. Well, I guess we don't have to rate it. That's weird, but okay.
If you guys want to, you can.
I'm gonna give it a 5. This was a fun I needed.
Yeah. No, this is one of those movies. There are some like weaker segments overall.
Yeah.
But I think the strong parts are strong enough to lift this one up. Like, I can sit through the lollipop thing. I don't care because I know that Joe Bob's coming at the end and that whole last segment.
Oh, he's coming.
He was coming.
You know, this is because of
a loaded statement there, Jason.
The lollipop and the weird Battle of the Mages one. I took off a half star. This is 4.5 for me, but it's still the individual segments that I like Goo Man is like 10 out of 5. Like it's so good that it elevates the whole thing.
I'm with you on it, and I'll be honest. Like I'm probably 4.5 as well. Because again, like you said, there are some segments that drag it down for me for 5. But I also look at it as this is a movie that I was excited to watch again because it's so much fun. And we watched it at Chattanooga Film Festival. We watched it the first time that was on Joe Bob's, and then we watched it just now. And I think I watched it one time previous to this as well, and I had a good time every time. So I was whenever like I use Jason X as like my measuring rod because measuring rod, what the fuck, dipstick? I don't know. Measuring stick. There we go. Because that's like one of those movies where I know it's not an amazing movie, but I still would give that one 4.5 or 5 out of 5 because how much I love it and just have fun with it.
I still you can't replicate watching it the first time knowing nothing about it.
Very true.
And that Joe Bob cameo at the end, I was looking at my Letterboxd ratings. I was like, there's a cameo in this that's going to make some audiences absolutely lose their mind, and I was that audience. Like it was exactly for me. I lost my mind when he showed up on screen. It's this movie was made for me. Like it's a me movie, and I love it so much.
Jason, you don't have to give a rating. It's fine. We'll
Yeah,
just move on.
I don't want. We don't want to hear it.
Move on. All right.
I'm just cutting you out right now.
My song of the week. I have a fun one today by a little band called Morbid Angel, which got really popular from 1993's Covenant because they're on Giant Records, and I think it's actually the top-selling death metal record of all time, just FYI. But the follow-up to that, and what's always funny, too, is the first album started with an A, the second one with a B, third one with a C. There's Altars of Madness, Blessed Are the Sick, Covenant, and this is their fourth record, Domination. And probably consider one of their weaker records. I think it's fantastic though. And the song I picked is in honor of the Goo Man. It is Where the Slime Live. It's really about Lovecraft. I want to pick a song that had some kind of reference to the Goo Man. Morbid Angel though, legendary death metal band. Anyone's listening to this that has any knowledge of metal at all knows who Morbid Angel is. And also their song God of Emptiness was featured on Beavis and Butthead back in the day. And they actually are one of the first death metal bands to get a lot of Headbangers Ball play, which is one of the reasons why they got so big. But again, they sold like 100,000 records for Giant Records, and then Giant Records dropped them because little do our younger listeners know that wasn't a lot of, well, it was a lot of records back then, but not enough to get you kept on a major label. What the fuck is your cat doing behind you, Jody?
Yeah.
It's like he's looking for ghosts. Like I swear to God.
He enjoys sleeping on my router back there because it's nice and warm all day long. So he sleeps on the router all the time, which sometimes is why my internet goes out. But
you're enveloped by a cat. That's cool.
All right, thank you, Mondo. Jody, give us some horror news.
All right, so let's start with releases because it's always a good place to go. Because you always want something new to watch. You've got a new movie coming out. Gacy, the Serial Killer Next Door, is available on VOD if you're into the true crime stuff. Not always my cup of tea, but I know a lot of people like it. Also just released is Dario Argento's, or the documentary about Dario Argento, Dario Argento Panico. It's a retrospective documentary, and it is on Shudder right now as of a couple days ago, so check that out. We've got a new slasher, like a teen slasher called Departing Seniors that just came out. Seniors like senior classmen in high school. It's a slasher. Like, it's just a straight up slasher, so don't think too much about it.
High school seniors, not seniors like in the elderly.
Right. In the elderly, we get to see a lot of some seniors, but we'll talk about that when that one comes out eventually.
I think it's on Shudder now. I think it is.
Okay, yeah. Go watch the elderly. There's a lot of old man penis in that one, but it's a good movie overall.
It's pretty creepy, yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it.
All right, so let's talk about some trailers that came out in the last week or so. The biggest one, the one that everyone is talking about in the horror world, is the trailer for Longlegs, the new movie from Oz Perkins. And I think this is one of those trailers that does a great job of setting a good tone, getting you interested, but doesn't reveal anything. I have no idea what this movie's about.
Okay.
I know Nick Cage is in it.
Yeah,
and I know
Micah Monroe.
Micah Monroe from It Follows, the lead in that one. So I love her. I think she's great in everything.
Like the posters
Nick
they
Cage.
put out.
What's that?
Like they put out some posters like the day before that looked really cool.
The posters are really cool looking.
Is this A24?
I don't know if it's an A24 or not. I mean, it is Oz Perkins, so he did like
Blackfoot's Daughter,
Gretel and Hansel, I'm the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. So he likes that kind of artsy horror, but this one has been rated R for bloody violence and disturbing images. So maybe it's a little more hardcore than some of his other stuff. Like he likes the slow burns, but the little preview that we got looks a little bit more intense, I think, maybe than some of his other stuff. I'm into it. I'm 100%.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Another trailer we got is Lovely, Dark, and Deep, a horror movie from the person who wrote Midnight Mass. Have y'all seen Midnight Mass yet?
I believe so.
It's the Mike Flanagan 8-part thing on Netflix about the Catholic island.
No, I've not. I did watch House of Usher, which is fantastic.
Yes, but Midnight Mass, the year that it came out a couple years ago, my favorite thing I watched all year long. There's a lot of religious stuff going on in there, and my background of being growing up in a highly evangelical home. It really worked for me really well. And this is from the writer. And it takes place, I think, in a state park. And there's some cosmic horror stuff going on. And people go disappearing in state parks all the time. Like, that's just a thing that happens, or in national parks. And this gives some explanation for that, but with some Lovecraftian looking cosmic horror stuff. Definitely into it. All right, another trailer. We have been fully on this public domain trend for a while, right? We got Winnie the Pooh first. We've had there's a sequel to that coming out. There's a Peter Pan thing. There's a lot of public domain horror, and most of them, like Steamboat Willie, just fell into the public domain, and so you make a horror movie where somebody wears a crappy looking Mickey Mouse mask and kills a bunch of people. Like, a lot of these are really lazy feeling, and it's just like, let me use this character and make like a crappy slasher movie. This one looks different. This is Oswald Down the Rabbit Hole. And it is a brand new, like, the trailer just came out a couple days ago, but I gotta give you a little backstory if you don't know who this is. Oswald was the character that Walt Disney and Ub Iwerks, his partner, made before they made Mickey Mouse. Oswald is Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. And he also fell into public domain this year. This movie looks to me, as far as I can tell, like a blend of animation and real life, like a little Roger Rabbit-y killery stuff. I would definitely recommend checking out the trailer. You can go to oswaldrabbit.com. I have said before on this podcast, I'm a huge classic animation fan, and Oswald is part of that trend that was around like in the 20s. There was a whole bunch of characters like Mickey Mouse and Oswald, and there was a fox named Foxy. There was Bosco, the talking kid, Felix the cat. Like, there's a whole lot of characters who had that same kind of look of like a white face, and they were an animal. Some of them look very, very close. They were probably, racist caricatures, honestly, when it comes down to it, because they were all minstrel show type stuff. But these are the characters around at the time. And before Mickey, there was Oswald. I have a Oswald stuffed animal that I have right here beside me. If you're watching on YouTube, just to be fair, I also have Steamboat Willie. So I've got all my public domain characters here. But Oswald was before Mickey. And it looks like they're trying to do something different. There are actual animators involved in this. They're going to have more cartooniness in there. And I think that's what I've been missing from some of these, like, let's dredge up these old cartoon characters and make a movie. They're cartoons. Like, they don't need to just be a slasher and a Mickey mask. That's boring. Make a cartoon horror. Like, make something where, like, cartoons come out of a movie or something. That sounds fun as hell. Like, I would totally be into that.
Yeah, I like that idea.
So I hope that's what this is. I hope that's where it's going. I think it's slated for 2025. But what was it again? The link that I said, I already forgot it. oswaldrabbit.com. Oswald with the D. All right. A few other things that have been announced. There is a new movie called Time Cut coming to Netflix this year, 2024. It is being described as Back to the Future meets Scream. I mean, we've had a lot of those type of movies recently. We've had
Totally Killer.
Totally Killer is, time travel meets Scream. It's a Wonderful Knife. It's a Wonderful Life meets Scream. Happy Death Day, Freaky. Varying levels of entertainment from all of these. But, I think Back to the Future has a plot that could work. The through line is a teenage girl travels back to the early 2000s to stop a vicious killer from murdering her sister. and we get some Back to the Future shenanigans.
I mean, that's literally the tagline of Totally Killer, except she goes back to the 90s to save her mom.
True.
Yeah.
True. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'll still check it out, though. Still sounds fun.
Here's what makes it more interesting to me. Christopher Landon is producing, and Michael Kennedy is writing the script. That's the Freaky people.
Okay.
That helps a lot. I loved Freaky. Freaky was a lot of fun.
Me too.
Oh, I didn't talk to her, but I saw the woman who starred in Happy Death Day. I can never say her name right.
Oh, I don't remember what her real name is. Tree's her character.
Something Rush.
Jessica Roth.
Yeah.
Roth.
So I walked by your booth, but the line was too long for me there.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm into more of this kind of thing, especially when you got Christopher Landon and Michael Kennedy involved. Mm-hmm. They know how to make a good movie.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Jason won't like it, but it was fun for the rest of us.
No, I'm actually kind of into the fact that like late 90s, early 2000s are becoming like nostalgia
retro
time. It's becoming retro. Like we're kind of moving past the 80s finally.
Yeah.
So well, I'd be into it for that.
I was a kid in the 80s, but I was 9 when the 80s ended. I don't remember a ton about the 80s, but the 90s.
Yeah,
that's the stuff I remember.
And then 2000, and like I've been playing a lot of GameCube on my Steam Deck, so I'm getting a lot of nostalgia lately.
All right, hang on. I gotta let my cat out of the room because he's
cat
very loudly.
He's getting pretty catty over there.
Me too. Or just leave all this in here.
Yeah, if you can just get that catty cat out of the room.
All right, back. More horror news. Last of Us Season 2. Have y'all watched Last of Us yet?
Oh yeah,
I have not.
Oh really? It's so good.
Again, I have not been in the mood for depressing cinema, and I played the Last of Us game, and it's kind of depressing.
Okay, then you know what's up.
Yeah, I know what's
up. Right. Well, Season 2 has announced a new actor joining the cast. Catherine O'Hara is going to be in Last of Us Season 2.
No shit, right on.
I love Catherine O'Hara. Who doesn't love Catherine O'Hara? I don't know what she's going to be doing in this, but yeah, I'm in it. We're into the rumors now. A rated R version of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead remake may be coming out this year.
Oh, we talked about this last week, Joe.
You beat me to it.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I'm not. And I mentioned this last week, and I don't know how you feel, Jody, but I think we should stop remaking beloved films and start remaking films that had a good idea but shitty execution.
That's fair.
I agree with that too, but I think this will be a fun one. But my thing is, I want Christina Applegate to play the babysitter.
Right. I'm gonna watch having Christina Applegate in there will be a big detriment to anything.
Yeah,
Christina Applegate should be in more things.
Yeah, agreed.
Speaking of rumors, though, here is a little thing from Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton was actually one of the producers on the Buffy the Vampire TV show. Did you know that? I did
not know that.
Well, she apparently is talking about a Buffy reboot, where they are working on it and they're thinking about bringing it back and revamping it, according to Dolly. And Dolly can do no wrong. So, yeah, I'm here. All right. Finally, though, the one I saved for the end because I think it's awesome. This week, we heard about the Universal Epic Universe, which is a new theme park coming to Orlando in 2025 with a bunch of different worlds. The first one is kind of the hub world called Celestial Park, and it's got some different space-themed things. There's a How to Train Your Dragon world. There's a Harry Potter world. But then the two that are near and dear to my heart. There's a Super Nintendo world. Much like the Super Nintendo world in Japan, there's going to be Mario. There's going to be
Isn't
Donkey
there already
Kong.
a Super Nintendo one, though, Universal Studios?
Yeah, in Hollywood.
Florida.
In Hollywood.
In Hollywood.
I went there. It's cool. It's very, very cool. When I went, it was really crowded.
Yeah.
So that was it was kind of hard to really enjoy just so many people.
I still want to check
like it really was like walking to the game, and then we went on the Mario Kart ride. It's probably one of the best rides I've ever been on. It was amazing.
Now, from what I've seen, because I haven't made it out to the West Coast, but from what I've seen, the Mario world or the Super Nintendo world very much feels like a living game that you're in the middle of.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 100% in on that. But then the last world is the Dark Universe world,
Yeah.
which is an ominous and chilling experience that reimagines Universal monsters in a theme park setting. So you get all the classics: Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, Visible Man, all that stuff reimagined for a theme park. So I'm guessing Universal's the one who always does the Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
They know how to make a spooky theme park thing go, and so yeah, Dark Universe 12 months out of the year. I'm very into this idea.
We may have mentioned it, but Las Vegas, we're getting the Universal Monster theme park. Completely based off that. I know that because they tore down my old office to make room for it, the fuckers. But it should be cool.
Anyway, that's coming to Orlando in 2025. If you go on YouTube, you can look for Universal Epic Universe and find some preview videos. Like it looks really cool. The Mickey Mouse I picked up earlier was from Disney World. I really love the big theme parks. I have a lot of fun at those, and so a big theme park that has a horror section devoted to it, just the fact that it exists is made for me. I love it.
Yeah. Universal, the one in Hollywood, used to have like kind of just like one area devoted to like kind of their horror stuff. And that was really cool. And then they had the Walking Dead thing, which is cool, but they turned that down. So I want them to keep honoring that history.
Yeah. And these are the guys who do Halloween Horror Nights. So, you know, they know what they're doing. They can make it into something really cool, I think. But that's my horror news. Lots of stuff, lots of releases and rumors and theme parks even.
Nice.
Hey, unhorror news, but as of tonight is a new episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. The new season and final season starts tonight.
How many final seasons have they had? Like
Zero.
I feel like they keep having final seasons.
No, Larry David is always he'd always say at the end of a season he doesn't know if he's going to make another one because of how much work because it's all improv.
Right.
And so he basically gives everyone an outline for the scene and says go for it. But this one he announced would be the final season.
Cool. Okay. We're not going to do Patreon pit tonight just because we're running way over time, but we do have a new patron named Brittany, that one who congratulates and welcome to our group. Welcome. So thank you, Brittany.
You so much.
Welcome.
We appreciate all of you.
All right. Very much. Let's do some quick dad advice. What do we got?
I mean, we've talked about when... I thought we gave some good dad advice in the course of this episode, like never accept a sad hand job, or you can. But
that scene in Breaking Bad is just so heartbreaking early on. Passion is gone.
Or makes me think of Animal House. There's a scene where like one of the in like the preppy fraternity, the guy's getting a hand job and he just like is like talking shit about the other fraternity and she's like, if you're not even gonna try, I'm gonna stop.
Okay. I remember that. I don't have any great dad advice this week because we're going kind of long, but
keep a pair of silver handcuffs on you just in case.
Yeah.
Chasing me to werewolf.
Take your kids to horror convention. I saw so many kids that were having the time of their life at the horror CreepyCon this weekend.
That's cool. I
really loved it. I don't know. I think I would love to take my daughter, but because I'm there trying to, it's more, it's like one of a few times I have to go to something really for myself.
Right.
But I always get her stickers and stuff. I got her like a packet of Wednesday stickers and she absolutely loves it. And then someone had like, Hot Wheels stickers. I got some for my son so he could have something too because there's nothing there he would care about.
I mean, it's been a while. Go ahead.
I love that Jason starts his advice out with take your kids to horror conventions and then proceeds to describe how he left his at home.
Well, again, I was there to sit at a table. So
right. Well, I know it's been a while since we've talked about it, but like kids and horror, it's fun. If you introduce it appropriately, horror can be great for kids. It can be, good for their brains and their resiliency and all that good stuff, but also it's just fun. I watched this weekend, 3 of my kids were out of town, so my daughter, who is the older daughter who was still home, we watched Puppet Master 2 and 3, and then we watched Dolls the next day.
Nice.
And it's just fun sharing stuff that you enjoy with your kids.
Yeah.
But also to any parents out there, notice how Jody did not show them Puppet Master 1. Because
didn't.
Puppet Master 1 is a borderline Skinamax movie.
Yeah, Puppet Master 1 is all psychics and full moon style sex scenes, which means awkward and uncomfortable because it's full moon.
Yeah, my wife's going to town this weekend, so I think maybe I'll try to show my daughter Beetlejuice. I think she'll like that.
Oh, cool.
She loved Wednesday, and I figure that's a good extension of the Tim Burton verse.
That's awesome.
That's
cool.
You pick, go age appropriate, and whatever the kid themselves can handle. My oldest son actually is 100% not into it, and he doesn't like most horror other than he watched all the Child's Play movies and enjoyed those. But he's not a horror guy, and so when we watch horror movies, he usually comes hang out in my office while we watch stuff in the living room, and he chills and does his own thing. And that's fine. If he wants to, he can join in anytime. He's always welcome. But the ones who want to join in, and the ones who don't. We're not forcing anything. I'm not trying to make little clones. They're already clones enough.
and you're showing them the age appropriate stuff as opposed to I'm okay with people showing maybe racier horror movies to their kids. Like when I say racier, I mean more gore or whatever in there. But there's also
we do that now. We've reached that point.
There's specific lines though you just gotta know not to cross, and like don't show your 12-year-old kid Cannibal Holocaust.
No.
They can seek that out on their own and watch it when you're not paying attention.
Right. But I do sometimes wonder, like, am I taking something away from them finding these movies and like sneaking them when they shouldn't be watching them? But I don't think so. I mean, I did watch Pieces with my 12-year-old, which probably was a mistake, but we did it anyway. So you can't go back in time.
Bastard!
Pieces.
I love it.
It's goofy enough. It's over the top enough to where it's cool. I think for kids, like it's the realistic stuff that really gets.
Yeah, no, we a couple of them wanted to watch The Loved Ones not too long ago, and I warned them before we got into The Loved Ones. I'm like, this one gets nasty, and real nasty.
Yeah,
and two of them signed on, one of them bowed out of my normal 3 that watch with me, and the 2 that watched it liked it, but it's rough. So.
Very much
I gave them fair warning because I'm a horror nerd and I know what's in a movie, and I can tell them like, hey, this may not be for you. Here's what's going to happen. Are you in? And some of them say no. So I think that's a good thing about being like a horror dad who already knows these things is I get a chance to be like, here's what I feel about you watching this movie.
Yeah.
You can make the decision on your own ultimately because you are a teenager and you can make your own decisions. But let me give you some warnings.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Next week we'll be...
I'm just listening to that awesome baritone voice you got going there.
All right. Next week, you're going back to Black Mirror with the season 2 premiere. Be right back. We appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate it if you would give us a rating or review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify. Check out our YouTube for videos of these podcasts. Also look for us on TikTok under Dads from the Crypt Talk. With that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Adios.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.